Who's the black private chick that's a sex machine with all the chicks? It's pretty much pop, a culture podcast today, talking not about Shaft, about the Naked Gun franchise that kicked off in 1988 by the Zucker Brothers of Airplane fame. Has been revived recently, starring Liam Neeson. My name is Mark Linsenmeyer. Don't call me Shirley.
My name's Art Baker. Don't call me Shirley either.
I am Enrico Palazzo, internationally renowned opera star.
And this is Lawrence Ware, and just like everyone else, don't call me Shirley. That's what I was going to say.
Even though it's not from these films, but
no,
it was this style of film, this Zucker Brothers thing that was most successfully done with Airplane. It's definitely, even Naked Gun 1 is a step down from that. And I did rewatch all three Naked Gun films, and each one is quite a bit worse than the last one. They all have some good points in them, but by number 3, there's like this extended sperm bank thing. No. But number 1, I think, was still good, was still pretty close to Airplane quality.
Interesting, just trying to think of, because the obvious thing to do for the intro to this podcast is let's steal a joke from the Naked Gun. And so I went looking through all the quotes, and it's remarkable how, like, you think of the Naked Gun just as a one-liner, and the Zucker Brothers kind of movies just as like throwing one-liners out of the way. But everything is actually a 3 or 4 sentence joke that requires 2 or 3 people to set you up for some elaborate punchline and or depends on some absurd visual business going on in the background. So it's a very silly series of movies.
Sarah, background with this?
My background goes pretty far. These series of movies, the Zucker Brothers and Abrams, is that right?
Zaz, known collectively as Zaz.
As the Zaz, okay.
Jim Abrahams.
So these are movies that we watched together as a family. These were deeply loved by my family. And the Airplane movies, we love those. Those, for me, when I do a rewatch of those, Airplane, I think I have the opposite experience than you do, Mark, in that I don't think that they aged as well. I
didn't freshly rewatch them, I should say, but
I watched it with my daughter a couple of years ago, so both those movies are kind of burned in my brain. But doing a rewatch of Naked Gun, which I had seen those movies in the theater, the first one, I have to say, not the second or the third, but the first one actually aged pretty well, I thought. I thought those jokes still slapped, as the youth say. I thought the one-liners were really good. I mean, I thought that a lot of it, even though there were some political references and things like that, I didn't think that it was as racist as I thought it was going to be or as sexist as I thought it was going to be.
Pretty homophobic.
No, I didn't think it was homophobic.
Okay.
I actually don't think those movies are homophobic, but I did think that first one held up pretty well. There were definitely diminishing returns on 2.5 and 33 1/3, but there were still some really good one-liners in those as well. And I started to watch the Charlie Sheen one, Hot Shots. I started to watch Hot Shots, and that wasn't as funny as I had remembered. But Naked Gun, for me, really still held up even all these years later.
Lawrence, what do you think?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Naked Gun series. Have always been. Honestly, the first Naked Gun movie that I watched was actually part 2. I enjoyed that a great deal. Then I watched part 3, didn't enjoy that one as much. And then I went back and watched part 1, and that was a unbelievable film. Like, that was groundbreaking for me. But because I enjoyed that first Naked Gun movie so much, I then went and bought on DVD the television series Police Squad that came out in 1982 and watched that and kind of enjoyed that as well. And then I kind of did a deep dive into David Zucker, and then I began to realize there's other things that I didn't know that he was associated with that I enjoyed. For example, he was associated with Scary Movies.
Well, apparently only 3 through 5. Apparently not 1 and 2. So I think I only saw the first one.
Yeah, no, I saw the later ones, and he was associated with that. I kind of enjoyed those. Those are not great, but I kind of enjoy those. Like, I find that style of humor interesting. And then I went back and watched Airplane and utterly hated it. Like, utterly hated it. Like, I did not like that at all because I thought it was kind of racist and just didn't like it very much. Like, I could tell that was a archetype of its time. I completely disagree with Sarah. I think Naked Gun the first one is definitely homophobic. Like, it is definitely some not great jokes that are told in that. But nevertheless, I mean, I love the series. And we can talk about the newest movie, whenever you guys want to. But I genuinely enjoyed this series. I liked it quite a bit.
I guess just as an initial thought, these laugh-a-minute movies, and I had the same issue with like Monty Python Life of Brian. They get you exhausted.
They do.
And so they should be really short. Mm-hmm. And I felt like the new one was maybe 15 minutes too long. It leaned a little too much into the action chase stuff. They were fine jokes, but for my tastes, I wanted it to stop. Even though it wasn't actually super long. It wasn't like a 2-hour plus movie, but it just seemed to overstay its welcome.
It's the exact same length as the old ones.
Yeah, in a way that the old ones did not. The old ones, I felt like, got out of there okay. So maybe it was just like, we just have so many ideas, we want to pack them in, we have a good budget here. I don't know. But I like the new movie, sure.
Ringing endorsement. Mark. Thank you.
I like the new movie better than the original. So this is going to be my hot take.
Whoa. And here we go.
So I was never really a huge fan of The Naked Gun. I love Airplane and I loved Police Squad. But like Police Squad was one of the favorite shows of a couple of my friends who shared a flat. So every time I went over, we'd end up watching Police Squad. Quite a lot of the affection for it came from the kind of ramshackle looking nature of the production. It really felt like it was a labor of love that they were duct taping together with their own, all the cast was duct taping together with their own hands every week. And it was very, very funny. But The Naked Gun, just as the laugh a minute kind of genre, I think that's very well put, Mark. What I'm looking for in a movie like Naked Gun or Airplane is just how many times is it going to get me to laugh every however long. And Naked Gun just didn't do it for me in the same way that Airplane does. The new movie, however, really did. It felt like the rate of jokes was increased for me over the original. It felt like it was a more modern feeling, faster paced movie, which really works for this genre. And I laughed a lot. I thought it was great.
Is it a spoiler? The romantic montage in the new movie, I thought was genius.
Wonderful. Genius.
I don't even want to give away what happens in it, but it just like takes a turn and it's quite long and sort of throws in the whole like horror movie that's like 2 minutes long in it with some sexual deviancy in there. And so that's the kind of thing that I feel like I don't know that they would have done in the old one quite like that, like really committed to a joke in that kind of extended way.
That's so funny. That's a good way to put it, because I thought that they really stuck to the bit in this new one where like the whole TiVo joke that went on a little bit longer than it probably should have, because who besides people who are over 45 or 50 know what the hell TiVo is? And that went on for quite a bit, and I really kind of appreciated it. And I wondered if it was because of the director is a Lonely Island guy, and he has just a slightly different sensibility.
It felt like more of a sketch-based movie, I guess, in the previous ones. And it worked very well for it, I think.
Yeah, it was like a collection of sketches. I will say, I went to watch Naked Gun with my teenager, and he hated the movie. Like, did not like it at all.
Really?
He didn't like the jokes. The TiVo thing, he kind of left in the middle of. He was so bored. Like, he didn't enjoy it. I don't know. Maybe it's these young kids. I don't know. He didn't enjoy it whatsoever.
Wow.
And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like the newest Naked Gun movie that much. It had some good moments to it. But maybe it's that I'm so tied to Leslie Nielsen. Mm-hmm. That might be what it is. Because Leslie Nielsen was actually a very serious actor before he got involved in the Naked Gun films. He was a top-notch actor. His comic timing and his deadpan, like, it was just great. I just don't think Liam Neeson was up to the task, really. And maybe it was my fondness for Leslie Nielsen that made me not like the newest movie that much, because it was not Leslie Nielsen. Like, I don't know. Because I really loved Leslie Nielsen. Like, even when he did the other movie, like Spy Hard, and like he was doing weird stuff. And I really enjoyed all of them. And I just kind of liked that guy. And I just didn't like Neeson as much.
That's too similar. It's
Is it a deliberate joke that they cast someone with almost exactly the same name as the former star? It feels like that's on purpose.
It feels like something they would do.
I think this is a good thing to start on is having, because yes, we're talking about Schindler List, dramatic actor Liam Neeson, who, yes, has also lowered himself to do Star Wars, by comparison. But has he
lowered?
Has he?
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
You're going to say
lower?
episode 1 is not lower than fucking Schindler's List? Screw you. If that, come on. This is uncontroversial.
But it sounds like you're like dragging down the entire Star Wars.
He's had a varied career.
Keep going. Keep going.
More commercial, let's just say.
Yes. No. Well, and Taken. Yes.
Taken. Yes, that's it. He's done lots of commercial stuff, but it's never been outright comedy. He did something where he had went on some sort of racist tirade, I think, in his real life, and I think he played off of that.
Wait a second, are you serious?
This is not. You're not confusing it with Mel Gibson. This is actually Liam Neeson.
This is Liam Neeson. He went on some sort of terrible tirade, and he made fun of himself.
Okay, 2019. Yes. There was a thing. I didn't remember this. Okay.
Holy smokes. Okay. I don't think I do this.
And he made fun of himself on some show. It might have been the Bill Hader show, but he made fun of his personal struggles.
With racism.
He does, right. Yeah. That he got called out. And I hope he's sorry, but he does have a sense of humor about himself. And I did appreciate that in this new one. I actually thought he did a really good job in this part. And so did Pamela Anderson. I liked both of them in these roles just because they knew what the assignment was. They knew that they needed to play it straight, and they did. And yes, I think now I'm blanking on Leslie Nielsen, Liam Neeson. Leslie Nielsen was so good. And he, when I went back to it, there's nobody better than him in this type of role. And I have such affection for him, but I thought that Liam Neeson did a really good job in this new version.
Was there something unacknowledged in the old film about just the gross age difference in the romance? In the new one, yes, they also got Liam Neeson at least looking pretty much the same age that Leslie Nielsen was, and sort of made a thing out of it. Like, yes, old man, do the thing. Like, and plus the fact that they cast Pamela Anderson, who's not 25 or whatever. I don't know what Priscilla Presley was at the time, but
she was in her 40s.
Okay. I did not buy them as a couple whatsoever. And it just, the sexism of the time and the number of times we're going to show bouncing boobs, and it's just very juvenile 80s sex comedy humor adjacent, I should say.
It's a perennial problem with The Naked Gun, I guess almost uniquely, but kind of movies like that are spoofing or satirizing problematic tropes in genres. With The Naked Gun, like the opening scene in The Naked Gun is when there's the axis of evil and all of the evil world leaders are sitting around a table plotting how to take down America. And it's in the movie in a long time. And then that comes on as the first scene. And you just think, oh God, are we going to be in trouble? Like right off the bat, what are the accents going to be like? What's the makeup like? And it's really hard to say whether they're directly making fun of those kinds of bits of genre shtick, or if they are using the genre as an excuse to be able to indulge in it. It's very kind of difficult to say which way they're doing. Like, are there lots of jiggling titties in The Naked Gun because they're making fun of the fact that there's gratuitous sex in cop movies, or are they using the fact that there's gratuitous sex in cop movies to be able to get jiggling tits in their comedic scenes? I think one's kind of more praiseworthy than the other.
I think it's both. I think they know there's gratuitous sex in these kinds of movies. They also know that noir films tend to really go heavy on the femme fatale, sexual attention, blah, blah, blah. And it also gives them an opportunity to have jiggling tits. And so they're both making fun of that while profiting off of it and using it in their films. I think it's brilliant.
That's how you make a hit.
I saw a lot more of the sexist stuff, the jiggling boobs in the second and the third, which I thought was just lazy. I thought it was just kind of lazy writing, honestly, because the first one has so little of that. There's a little bit for sure, but there's so little of it. But that is definitely leaned on in the second and even more so in the third.
Well, let me tell you, as a 13, 14-year-old young man, I loved it. I'm just being honest with you, man. I loved it. All my friends loved it. We couldn't get enough of it. So, it's very juvenile. We were juvenile, so I guess it was speaking to us. Now, as a mature film critic, I completely agree with you, Sarah. I think what you're saying A good point. But as a kid, I loved it.
I know a certain part of our audience is going to be wearied by is it sexist? Is it racist? It's 80s, blah, blah, blah. We're just getting that out of the way. Just so you know, that's not going to be what this whole podcast is about. But let's talk about, so I thought one of the funniest things in Airplane was the completely gratuitous, like everybody's screaming and then like a headless body jumps into the frame with bouncing tits. Am I remembering this correctly? Like this was the bit of nudity in Airplane that they just threw this in just to like add to the chaos. I'm not hallucinating that. That happened, right?
I don't think they were naked boobs.
No, I think that rings a bell.
I think it was just a braless lady.
Oh, okay.
In a t-shirt.
I'm gonna leave that to y'all. I have no idea.
That in that movie, that was kind of the only reference. You know, I remember more of Mrs. Cleaver speaking jive. You know, that comes to mind for, you know.
Fucking racist.
Let's talk about that too, because I thought Mrs. Cleaver doing that is the joke. That is the funny part.
That is the joke. And no one today gets it.
And is it referencing not, oh, black people actually talk like this, but that in movies, like, is that, yeah, Lawrence, can you say a little more about why this is objectionable and some of the other stuff is not?
I know what they were doing. I know what they were trying to do. Look, I've watched Shaft, the movie that was referenced earlier, that is actually a great movie. I've watched all these blaxploitation films. I know what they were doing. I just didn't like it. You know, hey, let me speak to this black, like the only way this black person can talk is by speaking jive. Like, I mean, I get what they were trying to do. I understand what the joke was, but doesn't take away from the fact that it's racist. I just didn't like it. I didn't like these white filmmakers, this white writer putting this in the film. I didn't like it whatsoever. But it worked for some people, clearly. But I just didn't like it very much.
Relatedly, the OJ thing. So they had good black representation for the time. And, you know, I guess this is before OJ committed any crimes. So I think technically you should be okay with somebody. But he was probably also still an abusive asshole behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And I like the way that they treated that in the new film.
They had to address it.
Yes, but just that it was just given a literal nod to the camera in the middle of another joke. Not only is Liam Neeson's character the son of the Leslie Nielsen character, but the sidekick is the son of the co-star in the original movie. And then there's a whole line of people crying at the pictures of their fathers. And one of those is OJ, but like, no, we're not going to pursue this. And we're not going to have the son of OJ be a character in this, etc.
But OJ was legitimately funny, the original series. And it was before he was convicted of murder or accused of murder.
Well, and it's nice that he was constantly abused. So like, if you do have harsh feelings towards OJ, at least this character is just constantly beat up on throughout. And that was one of the funniest things in the first film is like the very opening scene where he is confronting some bad guys and he gets shot and then he falls in some paint and like thing after thing after thing. I really like that.
Thing after thing after thing. The bear trap. Yeah, everything. I like just the fact that he gets paint on his jacket and he's upset about it after he's been shot 20 times, you know?
Yes, that was very masterfully put together.
That was great.
Less so. I think I really enjoyed when I was a kid, the whole I'm stuck under a bus being taken to Detroit, which is always a punchline in itself in these films. Mm-hmm. But yeah, on reviewing, like, okay, well, I wasn't as fond of that, but any OJ related thought?
I thought they handled it in the new film was pretty good. The original, I mean, honestly, the best gag of all these films is the very, very end of the first Naked Gun movie, whenever he rolls down the stairs in the wheelchair. Like, to this day, that makes me crack up laughing. The fact that it was OJ's and the fact that it was obviously a doll.
Yeah.
It is so funny. And the way he flips over is so funny to me. I love that.
I love their use of dummies.
Yes.
In
and it was
these
obvious.
movies.
And they weren't trying to hide it. It was like clearly a dummy. It was so funny.
There are multiple dummies in the first Naked Gun. I love like when Ricardo Montalban is taking Priscilla Presley up the stairs in the baseball stadium, and you can see her just being thrashed around, and it's so obvious that that's not a person.
Funny.
Yes, that's the kind of quick humor. Like even just the I think it was in the second movie where they're in the police office, and like one of the picture windows is just like a silhouette of a lady taking a shower. Like, okay, that is like the gratuitous sexism kind of thing thrown in, but just that absurdist, like the fact that would be in a window. I just like those little quick gags that aren't even referred to at all by the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the visual gags in these movies are just
top notch.
And there's stuff that I still think about. I still think about the very tall man who his face is always out of frame because he's so tall. And it's like, you got something on the side of your mouth that it's half a banana. I mean, it just stuff like that this is something that AI will never be able to crack, I don't think.
Watch it there. You never know.
God, don't say that.
Skynet's working on it. I mean, but honestly, like the things that are the funniest to me are actually the visual gags. The jokes, they're good. The dialogue is pretty freaking good. But the stuff that really makes me laugh out loud are the visual gags. Like that is what these films have always excelled at. It's the visual gags that none of the characters on screen are kind of commenting on, bringing up the absurdity of it, but it just happens. And you just see it, and it just makes you laugh. That's by far. But like the very beginning of the film, whenever the police siren is going off and it's going through all these random things.
I love that.
Great
gag. I wish they'd just done a new one for the new film rather than in the closing credits reprising the first one. I mean, it was nice to just remind us that happened. But like, it's an endless field for comedy. Certainly, they had so many years to come up with new places that the car top with siren could explore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Perhaps we'll get another movie with another offering.
Well, I do wonder, we'll because if your teenager, Lawrence, is not, this is one of those movies that they keep saying, oh, comedy, is it back? Are we going to finally see comedies in the, go to the movie theater to go see comedies? And I wondered with Naked Gun because the two stars of this new iteration are not they are not spring chickens. They're great. I thought they were great, but they're older stars. You didn't have anybody there that, a teenage or a young audience would kind of be able to grab onto. And I just wondered if young viewers would find this movie just kind of corny,
That's exactly what it found it. I mean, I enjoyed it because I kind of enjoyed it, actually, because I enjoy the Naked Gun films and I like visual sight gags and that silly stuff. I just don't think this kind of comedy works with that generation. The kind of stuff that he's watching, man, it's like bred out of YouTube and, it's just a different kind of thing. And so I'm just not sure. This movie did relatively well over the weekend. I mean, it made its money back. I believe so it cost $42 million and made $56 million. So that's good, but I don't anticipate it making much more money than that. I'd be shocked if it made it to 100. So I don't know if they'll make another one, but I just don't think that the younger generation really kind of likes this kind of comedy. And even the director, even though he's younger than Zucker, he's still of an older generation, So I'm just not sure if this is going to really kind of break through. I hope it does to an extent, but I just don't know if it will.
I wonder, because you're right, the director is a Gen Xer. If these are movies that Gen X, because we watched Austin Powers. Austin Powers is kind of a version of this. The scary movies are versions of this. We've seen these kinds of movies over the years, and they've been kind of played out for the past, 15 years or so. We haven't seen much. And I just wonder if it is a generational shift, which kind of makes me sad, honestly. I would like to see more comedies in the theater, but I don't know that Gen Z, if they are watching comedy, if that's where they watch comedy. I think they are watching it on TikTok, and they're watching it on YouTube, and they're watching it in little snippets instead of 90-minute stretches in a movie theater.
It goes back to Saturday Night Live. They're not watching all that. They're watching clips of it, but they're not watching the whole thing. I can't even think of the last, like Minecraft was a kid's movie. I can't think of an actual comedy that was geared towards adults that did well. I don't even know if they make those anymore outside of this, because this is not really geared towards his generation. Not really. It's really geared towards me and you older people, right? It's not really geared towards Nice little dig towards you guys. It's not
that's
really
okay.
It's not
I own
really,
it. I'm fine with it.
It's not really geared towards younger audiences, so I really don't know. I don't know if they will make more films like this at all.
I was confusing The Lonely Island, which is Andy Samberg's thing, which I did see, the Pop Star, the movie with that Andy Samberg, the three of those guys made together in the last year. And I enjoyed that quite a bit. I don't know that it did very well, but I don't really know. It doesn't seem like Andy Samberg took off as like this, even though he was very successful in these Saturday Night Live, like the most successful thing about Saturday Night Live in terms of the internet generation. There's a new trio in the new cast, which is Please Do Not Destroy. Did you guys see their movie on Peacock?
No, didn't see that.
That's another young sort of sketch group. Conan O'Brien played one of their fathers in it. That is very much joke a second, very absurdist, three pals doing stuff. So I think that, this kind of comedy still exists. And certainly, I compare it to the Mystery Science Theater thing that I still am a fan of through its various iterations, riff tracks and stuff, which is all about just like, how many jokes can we fit in? And, that weren't even intended. So I think there'll always be a place for this. I think people can always come back to this. It is not generationally tied at all. And of course, standards of humor are constantly changing. So that, what seemed corny to one generation, did things loop back around?
I think so.
Are we going to find the 1940s comics funny soon? I don't think so. I think things just keep moving.
I mean, I've always found that kind of stuff. I mean, the stuff that was before me was like the Jeffersons, the stuff in the 70s.
I'm thinking Bob Hope and like
I know, but like that stuff was funny to me. I would expect this stuff to be funny to my kids then, right? Because that was my stuff. It should be funny to them. The Jeffersons or whatever was funny.
Especially if it's just silly.
It's not circular.
Silliness should just be silly. And anybody, especially young kids, maybe your kid was a little too old. Maybe you needed a 7-year-old.
He might have been.
A 9-year-old. He might have been. I took my 94-year-old almost dad to see it, who has trouble following plots. And I think he enjoyed it. He was like, yes, that was very silly. I had just seen Tommy Boy with him on TV within the last month.
Oh, gosh.
And he enjoyed that plenty. Like, that was also just lots of visual humor, lots of slapstick. Yeah, so I'm not sure what to say. Certainly, I don't think that this as a comedic form is coming back. When you compare it to what is the cutting edge? We had our comedy news thing. John Oliver, I feel like, is sort of like the cutting edge, or, those just, your favorite stand-up comics that are reflecting on the state of the world and being so, like, that's a very different thing than slip on banana peel, fall down.
Yeah.
And there's something I think we even addressed in that episode, paleo comedy. Like, if it's not woke and fallen, if it's just, we're so apolitical, we're just about slipping on banana peels and falling down. That almost seems in itself a political statement. I mean, I don't know that I saw that in this film, but.
I did not see anything political in this latest film. I saw political stuff in the first 3, but I didn't see anything political in this latest film. I do think that comedy has to evolve. I think you're right. Like, we're not necessarily listening to too many of the older comics.
Buddy Hackett. How many times have you spun up a Buddy Hackett record on Spotify recently?
Never did it.
Comedy is so different than, listening to music. It's not something that you necessarily associate with your own development, Whereas, so music is something that you can listen to over and over and over again. Whereas comedy is something, there are very few comedians where you can actually listen to the record and you're listening to it over and over again, often to turn your friends onto it or something like that, or to show people how funny it is. That's usually when I do a rewatch of a comedy, it's, I'll, actually sit my daughter down and say, hey, this is what we thought was funny back when I was your age. But I don't necessarily sit down and do a rewatch of these comedies over and over and over again.
That is not at all my testimony. I mean, I watch that stuff over and over again.
Yeah, as a kid.
Whether it be sitcoms, Family Matters, whatever, Fresh Prince, whatever. And then same thing with movies. Coming to America, it never gets old for me. Harlem Nights never gets old for me. Like, it's just certain things always work. Man, like, I was re-listening to Robin Williams doing stand-up, and Eddie Murphy doing stand-up and was cracking up. Adam Sandler's doing stand-up and was cracking up, had a good time with it. But there are certain comedians that doesn't do that for me. And one thing that I don't like doing is rewatching The Three Stooges. I don't really like rewatching that stuff because it doesn't really kind of speak to me anymore. First time's funny. After that, it gets old. This newest film felt like The Three Stooges. Like, that's what it felt like to me. It felt like it was kind of in that kind of vein of comedy. And to an extent, the earlier Naked Guns movie were kind of like that, but this one felt like it kind of leaned heavier into it. And maybe that might be the reason why it didn't really speak to my teenager as much and why it didn't really speak to me as much either. Well, it didn't speak to him at all. But why it didn't speak to me as much either is because it was kind of in that vein. And I do wonder about the rewatchability of this because the rewatchability of 1 and 2 are really good for me. I can rewatch those. 3, watched it twice, we'll never watch it again. I wonder if I'll ever watch this one again. And maybe I just didn't appreciate it because I was too busy comparing this one to the heights of The Naked Gun. And I'll go back and watch it again. See if I'm more on, you and Mark's wavelength on this one. But I do wonder about the rewatchability of this one. I wonder if this will stand up like that.
I would think at least one rewatch just to see if there was stuff you missed because it was going by pretty fast.
Yeah, that's true.
You would think if jokes make you laugh because it's unexpected, that when you hear the same joke again, you should not laugh. But yet, plenty of jokes, especially if it's a visual thing, are stistill funny, no matter how many times you see it.
That is very true. Very true.
That's true.
Why you can have a clown character that I'm thinking of Tim Conway as his old man thing where he shuffles forward. I don't know if that would make me laugh out loud, but I have a definite affection for that, such that the fact that he did that in sketch after sketch on the Carol Burnett show, it was basically the same joke, or his Dorf thing that he later did, which does not seem so politically correct at this point. But that he's being a little person by being on his knee. Yeah, it's just a very immediate visual thing. So I don't know what the formula is here, but there's definitely comedies that I watched over and over again. It would have to sort of pay attention. Are you laughing at the same stuff? I do think I still love Dave Chappelle, but I don't think that I want to watch his specials. Certainly not more than twice. Maybe 5 years from now, I could watch it again and I would not remember all of it. That's happened with Chris Rock or some of the other sort of politically comedians. I do remember watching Bill Cosby himself, that film, repeatedly as a kid and
funny.
Still finding it funny because he was just so good in when he sinks into the bits and he's sort of getting into his character and the way he expresses things. It's almost like a visual thing, even though it's only partially visual, partly vocal and whatever, but it's something in common with slapstick.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think that's probably what my point was earlier is more about, which I think I poorly explained. I think it's more about maybe stand-up is hard to kind of relive. Whereas I did watch, when we rewatched the Naked Gun movies again, and Josh and I watched the first one together and we were on the floor. We were laughing so hard. And I wondered if a lot of it was because we were anticipating what was to come. We knew exactly where the jokes, that we were so familiar with were going to land. But I think with stand-up, it's harder to kind of watch that stuff over and over again. Or there are very few that you can actually have that experience more than a couple of times.
It takes a really special stand-up comedian to be able to do that. I think the later Dave Chappelle stuff, not so much. The earlier Dave Chappelle stuff, you can rewatch that. Eddie Murphy, honestly, him, Richard Pryor, those guys are legendary. George Carlin, I think he's legendary as well. Robin Williams is. Those guys are just on a whole different level, and I can rewatch those over and over again. When you start getting into the lower tier, and when I say lower tier, I'm talking about later Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock is kind of lower tier to me. You get into those kind of guys, it just doesn't, the rewatchability isn't there. You're right, Sarah, that it has maybe 1 or 2 shelf lives and you're kind of done with that. But it depends on how talented the stand-up comedian is. And that's the same thing when it comes to these kinds of films. If the filmmakers are really, really talented, David Zucker, when it comes to those visual gags, I don't like the jive stuff or whatever, but when it comes to the visual gags, I'm sorry, Sarah, that woman just randomly jumping up on the screen. It's just funny, man. It just is. It's just a funny, random, out of the blue. And I'm sorry, man, if I'm 75 years old sitting in my rocking chair with no teeth, I'm going to laugh my ass off watching that because it's just funny. So he's really good and really talented when it comes to those visual gags. That's the reason why that cop car going through showers or whatever is really, really funny. That's the reason why the dummy being dragged up the stairs is funny, and the dummy jump.
Yes.
He's really good at those visual gags. I just don't think that the most recent director is. But when you get someone who's talented like that, in the same way that a certain kind of comedian can be very talented, it's really, really good.
So, did you laugh? Because I don't think I did. I think I thought it was interesting. I will slightly spoil something at the end where he's hanging by an owl. And this was an unexpected turn in the plot. And it was a nice callback to something earlier in the film, but I more thought it was interesting. I don't know that I laughed at the visual of him dangling from an owl.
Yeah, I don't know. I still thought that they did a great job with some of the familiar wordplay. I mean,
but did you laugh? Did you laugh at that scene, Sarah? That's the question. Did you laugh at that scene?
At that scene?
Yes.
Probably. I laughed a lot, actually. And it really helps going into a theater with an audience,
Yes, it does. That is kind of crucial. That's crucial.
That is crucial. Comedy dies when there's only 3 people in the audience. So we had a pretty good audience. And I know we had some people in the audience who had smoked some weed before they came in. So they really helped things along. Yeah, but that gag with when we meet Pam Anderson and she decides that she will take a chair, and that's classic Naked Gun. That's so, and it really worked really well. And I thought she did a great job. I thought the writing was really good there and we were all laughing. I thought there were so many moments like that in this new film that felt very much like a Naked Gun movie.
I like the ongoing handing people coffee shtick. And that was maybe the best part of that. He's hanging from an owl and somehow an ethereal arm hands him some coffee. Just a nice callback. I don't know what makes me laugh. I would have to film myself while laughing these things to see what my reaction was. I don't think I'm in general super reactive to things.
Just like they have the bouncing boobs, they also have tons of fart jokes. I mean, and they did not disappoint in this new one either. And that definitely appeals to my 7th grade sense of humor sometimes. That was a very funny sequence.
Were there a lot of fart jokes in the first movies? I don't even remember them.
Oh, God, yes. When he goes to the bathroom with the hot mic.
I thought that was in the new film. That was not in the new film?
No, that was in the first one. That was whenever...
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that was in the first film.
That
I remember that.
Just so funny.
That's right.
Yeah, potty humor. It's definitely in there.
I saw coming when Pamela Anderson is trying to distract the bad guy by getting on stage and doing a sultry song. And I knew that this was coming. That was going to be, she's not going to do a sultry song. It's going to be a very silly song. But her way of pulling that off, doing this crazy scat and animal noises, was hilarious. She really, I gained new respect for her as a performer that I've just never seen her go all out in that way.
Yeah. She went for it.
We might need to talk about her because she is low-key having a really good resurgence right now.
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson was kind of everywhere. It was like the 90s, I believe it was. But her most recent run, The Last Showgirl, was really, really good. She was really good in The Naked Gun. We might need to give Pamela Anderson her props, man, because it seems like she's kind of figured it out and she's kind of stepped into who she's going to be now. And she's doing so unapologetically. She's kind of really pulled back on makeup and she's not trying to be as glamorous as she once was. It's a really good turn for her. And her doing this really showed me she's got some talent there. Not everybody could get up on stage and kind of do that kind of scene. I was really impressed with Pamela Anderson in this film.
There's a great documentary about her out too that I think her son directed or had made anyway. And it's great. And she does address the fact that she stepped away from the spotlight. She took a break and now she's ready to come back.
I'm a little sad that I'm looking at the wiki page for the new Naked Gun movie that there was in 2013, 2 of the guys from The State, Thomas Lennon and Bob Grant, were going to direct one with Ed Helms starring.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like a good combination. Those guys, the State guys, have written a few other films. You know, there's like 11 people in that comedy troupe. So it's like, it's a little unclear who you're referring to, but they did like that TV show, Another Period. They do like laugh a second kind of things, you know, from the sketch background. So I think that would have been interesting. I don't know. So do we want more of this? I guess it's not surprising that this finally happened, given that apparently people have tried to make it happen a couple times before this film actually got made. So the fact that it was past IP that some people like us have fond memories of, like it was almost inevitable that something would happen along these lines. But, you know, is this the beginning? Do you want it to be? I don't care what you've read.
That's a really good question. I'm not
That is a good question.
Because I'm not sure if this is just a nostalgia play, kind of like with the Adam Sandler movie that just came out, the sequel to Tommy Boy or something, and which I never saw the
golf
original.
one.
Sequel to Tommy Boy?
That's not an Adam Sandler movie, but I could understand why you would say that because it's the same generation.
Wait, what? What's the golf one?
Happy Gilmore 2, yes.
Happy Gilmore 2.
Right.
Okay, sorry. I haven't seen any of those movies.
Holy crap. Are you serious?
I think an Adam Sandler episode might be in our future.
Oh,
so
my
that
goodness.
I know. I'm going to save myself for that.
He's your
yes.
peer. I have no idea how you haven't. Okay, I'm sorry. He's of your generation, really. I mean, okay.
He is of my generation, but that's just not my kind of humor. That's not the stuff I found really funny. I think he's a sweet guy, but I wonder if there's just a nostalgia thing at play here. I don't know that this is the start of something, and I don't know if I need any more. This was just fine for me. So I'm going to say no. Let's just keep this as a nice little reminder that this was a funny thing and not have any more of that for a little while.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I mean, like I said, I really didn't enjoy this movie that much. And instead of a retread to old stuff, like how about new comedies? Like a new comedy, a new comedic idea. Let's do that. Like something like Superbad in 2007 that just kind of came out of left field and was so incredibly funny. Or Project X, which is something that I really enjoyed. That just kind of came out of left field and was really, really funny. Like, give me something like that. But I just don't know if they're making comedies anymore. Like, the state of comedy as far as, even when it comes to sitcoms, like the state of comedy is just in a really dire place.
Yeah, I agree.
Animated comedies are doing okay. Kid comedies are doing okay. But comedy for adults, South Park, Rick and Morty.
Yeah, give me another Bridesmaids, please.
And I just don't know if this kind of film would be made again, because this was marketed very well. It was a real good swing. I just don't know if it'll kind of land and be, you know, financially successful in any kind of way, which would lead to more films like this and more sequels like this. So I don't know. What about you, Mark? You want more?
I don't mind things existing, but if it's bad, certainly not. Yeah, even was the original, the Police Squad formula, you think you could make, given that it was a TV series, but it was a one-season TV series. And I actually remember watching that on TV, the first episode, and being a little, because I was young, you said 1982? Somebody said 1982, that it was quite a bit before this film. And it just seemed too shticky to like make me actually want to be pulled in and watch it for hours as is required. You have to have characters that you actually care about. It can't be too absurdist. I'm trying to think if there's a TV show. Obviously, Rick and Morty is a good example. Even that, they sort of develop some stuff about the relationships between the characters and the wife and her alternate personality and her relationship with Rick, her father. Yeah, and of course, as we're saying this, I found a page in IMDb that was like best comedies from 2021 to the present. And I don't know that I've actually seen a lot of them. And like most IMDb ways of categorizing, like, oh, they're counting Coda, like about the deaf girl. Like that's I'm sure there's some funny stuff in there. Or Free Guy. Like, yeah, there's a lot of things that involve comedy, but they're not comedies.
Right.
Is The Holdovers a comedy? Like, well, it's a dramedy.
Wasn't funny to me at all.
Palm Springs is listed as being, you know, which was a nice like time loop. It's a romantic comedy. I think romantic comedies are alive and well. I think those we need to do an episode on those at some point. It is a formula.
We're getting more. They're making a comeback. Yeah. Romantic comedies have made a comeback.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they're definitely around on streaming. Netflix makes a ton of them. But are they really coming back, like, to the movie theater? I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
I saw within the last year, They Came Together, which is a parody of romantic comedies. And it's also by one of the guys, a different ones, David Wayne and Michael Showalter from The State, that stars Amy Poehler and Paul Rudd. And my wife, who is a fan of romantic comedies, I think she bailed because it was just too many joke. I can't actually feel anything for these characters, even though they're appealing actors. And there's probably a reason why neither of you have heard of that film, right? Or
right, no.
I never heard of it.
Yeah, why that film did not do really great things. That I think that most of the films made in that vein, Wet Hot American Summer is sort of the most famous of the ones made by the people in The State, are kind of a cult thing. And I think it's the same thing with that one that I mentioned by Please Don't Destroy, which is The Treasure of Foggy Mountain, a 2023 film. It's on Peacock. I would definitely recommend it if you want this kind of to see what a younger generation of shticky comedy would be. I can see why it's not roaring through the theaters.
Did you guys hear of Bottoms from 2023?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it yet.
I watched it.
That one was excellent, hilarious, in the same vein as like Superbad. It has a fresh take on it and of the kind of high school movie. And I don't think anybody saw it. I don't think anybody.
It didn't do very well at all. Yeah.
No, it didn't come through. So anyway, which is a bummer. I would like to see more comedies like Bottoms break through, and even Naked Gun. It's great. You know, if we can get good comedies on the big screen, I will go.
But you'd be the only person there watching it. I mean,
I would be the only person there.
I just don't think people are watching it anymore. Like at this point, and this is going to lead to a whole other conversation that we probably should have at a different time, but it just kind of comments upon the state of movies and the state of filmmaking, because there are certain films that break through, but even the tentpole films like Fantastic Four didn't break through. Not really. You know, Superman kind of did, but like that's just kind of state of the movies. And so if you do a mid-budget comedy, good luck, man. You know, the people are just not coming out. Like, we're so accustomed now to watching things at home that they're just not going to come out for that. You know, it has to be something really, really good, like Barbie level excitement around it for people to come out for it. But a regular run-of-the-mill comedy, that's just not happening anymore.
That was pretty joke. Barbie.
Oh no.
Barbie
that
was
definitely comedy.
Like, okay, so that's something that actually falls into this category. It was not, an original IP. It was not, but I don't know that it matters. It made more jokes available to them to have such a resonant IP.
Agreed.
Yes, you're referring to Bottoms, made me follow the links to Booksmart, which is one that I did see, 2019.
Yes.
Excellent film. I don't know that, but I think these things are good streamers. Like, they do well on streaming.
They do, yeah.
I think this is, again, more of sort of a what works at the box office in this day and age kind of discussion, and the problems with the box office in general, the problems with the movie theater experience in general.
I agree.
That I probably would not, if we were not doing this podcast, I would not have seen The Naked Gun in the theater. It's very unlikely.
Well, I like Naked Gun. I probably would have, but I don't know if anyone else would have.
You see a lot of things in the theater. Yes.
Yeah. I'm a movie guy. I'm a movie guy, but I don't know if other people would have, so your screening, Sarah, was pretty well populated. Was it like full, or was it like
not full?
Kind of full.
It was kind of full.
Did you go on Wednesday afternoon, Lawrence, and with two people in the audience?
No, I saw it at a critic screening.
Oh, okay.
So it was no laughing going on. There's all serious people. But I don't know how popular the theaters were to watch this. I don't know if people were kind of raring to go see this film. And this was the first weekend. I'm really interested to see what happens next weekend, like how much of a drop-off it's going to be. So we'll see, but I don't know.
I feel like this film would want to make fun of you and your critics in your critic screening room. In the future, we'll have films that have an AI component so they can add a couple extra jokes aimed specifically at you to mock you and your non-laughing compatriots.
And I would write very poorly about it. That's what I would do to get back at it, to get back at the film and the filmmakers.
They don't have to be AI generated jokes. They just have the filmmakers load extra jokes into the movie to be deployed when the AI
just for me
scans the audience and certain criteria are met. there's something to this.
You keep messing with this AI, man. You're asking for the Terminator to come, man. You keep messing with this.
All right, let's wrap up. I thought we were going to stop a little early since we lost an Al in the middle of this, that he's just had to attend to some personal business. But we wish him well, and he'll be back, and we'll all be back. And in fact, if you pay at patreon.com/prettymuchpop, you can hear more of us right now, figuring out once again what we're going to talk about next. And we've already sort of gotten into after-talk territory.
We kind of have.
We'll do a few more minutes at least.
A little sneak peek.
Anyway, everybody, thanks for listening. Keep on laughing.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't listen to Mark's terrible jokes. Bye, guys.
Pretty Much Pop is part of the Partially Examined Life podcast network. Get more Pretty Much Pop at prettymuchpop.com. Get bonus content for every episode at patreon.com/prettymuchpop.